Welcome to our Creative Studio chats. We are so excited to have you here today. Today we are talking about building a marketable portfolio and sharing some of our tips with you. As always, our studio chats are casual conversations where we are sharing our insights and things that we have learned along the way. So be kind. Remember to share if you're loving, take a screenshot and share. It means the world to us and it lets us know that you're enjoying these.
Yeah.
Laura, should we dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in. First, we wanted to maybe touch on paying attention to what you are designing and what's happening out in the world. Should we dive into that first?
Yeah, I think that sometimes when we first start designing, I know for me, it's this idea that you can design whatever you want, whenever you want, and that will be successful. And while that might be the case for some people, I don't think it's very common for most working artists. I think that there is this area of the things we love to design, this area of the things of what the market wants, and then there's this sweet little spot where they cross over. And our goal as artists is to try to figure out how we can optimize that sweet spot where what we like to make is intersecting with what is working in the market. Because at the end of the day, our job as artists, surface pattern designers, is to help companies sell their products.
Yeah, and we've got to remember that we're actually here as like a tool for them to create things that they're going to sell on their products, right? When we think of this like sweet spot, this spot maybe starts like a little sliver when you first start out, and the idea is to like grow that, and then as that grows, our businesses can grow. We can really flourish if that sweet spot in the middle is the biggest it can be. And so the idea of how to get there is really paying attention to what's happening out in the world, what's happening out in the stores, art and culture, a whole bunch of things. Also just paying attention, like say if you have an spoonflower shop, what artwork is getting picked up, what is being what you're selling a meter here or 3 meters there, what artwork is actually getting picked up or likes on it, just like even if you haven't even sold anything, what's kind of getting attention of people. Or when you post something on Instagram, you're starting out and you haven't actually done any art licensing yet, what posts and what artwork do you post that people love on a lot? And kind of like that can be like your little seed of like kind of growing from there. Those cues, right? They're like little cues, social cues that are happening that can help you kind of like take that and then kind of learn a little bit of like, oh, everyone liked that, and maybe I'll do something else that's similar but different, and then just kind of morph that into helping you grow. And then it's like paying attention. You're kind of paying attention to what's happening and what people are reacting to, and then this is how we can kind of like move this bigger, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think one other tip I would have in that area is if you aren't seeing any traction on Spoonflower and you don't have nobody's following you but your family members, one good practice that I think can be beneficial is identifying a store, a brand, whatever it might be that you really feel like is a really good fit for you, that you're looking at their product, you're going through it, you feel like you're a match for, and then designing specifically for them, even if it's just one mini collection of what does it look like if I really, really were to focus and say this collection, it fits in store right now. What colors would I be using? What size of motifs? How complex would they be? Would they be texture? Would they not? It doesn't fit. And that exercise alone will get you in the practice of paying attention to what's happening, to where you in the niche or in the category that you see your artwork living.
Yeah, because I love just sometimes just creating what I feel like creating. And then there's a thing that like, like what I know my customer kind of wants, because I know my customer quite well now, like my, the brands that pick up my work and stuff. So I know what they want, and then there's just the stuff that I wanted to design, and then somewhere I try to have a crossover of like what I want and what I know they will love. And
yes,
sometimes I do freelance work and stuff, and it's stuff that I just don't even want to design, but then I say yes to, and then I'm like, why did I say yes to that? And it's like actually just what my client wants, or just want what So I work in all areas. I like to kind of have a balance, because sometimes the stuff that my client wants that I don't really like, I'm doing a job, like I'm being a service to what they need, and it still can help pay the bills. So sometimes we're just creating what other people want. I kind of call it like you're a chameleon. You can like change and morph into what other people need from you, because you offer a skill and a service. And I used to work in-house for like 20 years designing and stuff, and I felt like that's what I was like. I was like a chameleon. Like if you wanted me to design something watercolory, I could do it. Do you know what I mean? If you wanted something that was kind of more hard edge and vector, I could do it. I was just creative, and I could just create whatever you needed. I kind of was like this chameleon that worked across lots of brands and produced what my bosses needed, because they were the boss. And now that I've got Houghton Studio, I really love that I'm the boss and I get some of that creative control back. So I really love creating what I create, but then mixing it in with what I know my brand, like brands and stuff, need from me. And so this is where the circle can get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I love that, just normalizing that we work in all those areas. It's like any job, you work in all those areas. There's parts that you love, there's parts that are really great, and then there's the parts that you don't love so much, but allows you to do the things that you love. And so I think that's a normal, I like normalizing that for people.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well,
Once you,
you
yeah,
go.
like once you have identified what's working in the market, like you're out there, you're seeing, you're noticing, paying attention to what's going on in the niche, that's just like the tipping point of setting yourself up for success for a marketable portfolio that allows art directors to pick up your artwork. The next step, what would you say it would be, Fleur?
Kind of finding a clear roadmap of your vision of where you are going. So like, okay, what's our clear roadmap? We're trying to build a marketable portfolio, and what do I want to do with that portfolio? Who do I want to show it to? Do I want to go to a trade show? Like, what's the goal with this portfolio? Instead of just creating a portfolio of kind of like a whole bunch of stuff that might actually not be relevant, or chucking a whole bunch of stuff in there that is just like maybe not your best work. We kind of like a clear roadmap of like, what do we want to do with this portfolio can really help you build a really well-rounded marketable portfolio in the end. So being clear of like, what do we want to do with it? And then we're going to build like a roadmap of how we're going to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. I'm not even touch on it. I think after that, it's working in advance. This is something that Fleur and I struggled with for years, of working in advance, because you can make the best artwork, but if you're trying to sell somebody Valentine's artwork and they're already looking for Easter artwork, it doesn't matter how great it is. Yeah. Truly, they've moved on. And so while that artwork is still relevant, you can try again the next year when they are looking for it. Part of it is working in advance and giving yourself longer lead time. Not only does it help round out your portfolio so that you have a variety of work in there because you're trying to hit certain holidays or certain categories that you know people are looking for, it also allows you to say yes when somebody comes to you and says it's March and they say, do you have any fall or harvest type artwork? You can say, yes, I actually do, because I'm working so far in advance. So I think one of the big things is, after you have a roadmap, is giving yourself a much longer lead time. And sometimes that means missing the upcoming holidays and jumping ahead so that you can get ahead.
Yeah. And sometimes we actually feel like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that opportunity, especially like Christmas or something. But to be ahead of the game, to get ahead of the game, you can't be like trying to get it all in, because then you never will be. You actually have to be way further ahead than you think you have to be. Like, I used to think I was working ahead of time, and then I was like, actually, I need another 3 months. Like, we've done.
Yeah, should we can tell them.
Well, we've done. We've done.
You go.
We've done huge. We've done huge planning and strategic thinking around our lead times, like huge. And we created our monthly portfolio creative briefs because of that reason, of just like really having a structured plan and knowing what to design and when. And so the decision fatigue was out of the way. And we created we created those briefs, that membership and stuff, actually for ourselves. And so the planning there, I used to think, oh my God, what am I going to design? When am I going to design it? I used to stress about it. And I'm like, I think I'm behind. I've created enough lead time, I think. And then I never was. I was always chasing my tail. Not anymore.
I should just say, we're in October November, I don't know what months we are in anymore, but our brief members have already designed summer. That's already done. Like, they've put a bow on it, done, moved on. So to give you an idea of how far in advance and it's really been game changing.
Yeah. Okay. So lead times is one, like really working ahead of the time to build a marketable portfolio is lead time, creating the artwork at the right time and having it ready to pitch, right? So it all leads to having this body of work, having it at the right time in your portfolio. But inspiration and research, like, we really want to be able to sit down and just kind of dive in to creating faster. And I don't know if you have any tips for this, but I feel like we've nailed it this year because we work to our creative briefs, and now I just sit down and I don't have to worry about this. I used to kind of sit down and feel like, okay, I think I'm going to do fall. What should I do at fall? Like, what have I done with fall in the past? How can I make it different this year? And I was just always having to do this kind of research part and then doubting myself and then and having to do all this kind of research. Now I just sit down and create because I work to a creative brief now, and I am so inspired by them that I just kind of start a lot faster.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole
one of the most helpful things about the creative brief is, this will give you a good example. It's really hard to design Halloween during Christmas, or let's say Easter during Halloween. You know what I mean? So when you're in those moments, it can be so hard to be like, I'm not inspired. It's Christmas. I want to design Christmas, or I want to design whatever. And that was always the struggle for me, because I was surrounded by so much imagery and so much artwork and Instagram, the Pinterest, everything was Christmas related, but I needed to be designing something other than Christmas at that time. Does that make sense? So like, the brief coming and landing in my inbox filled with inspiration, filled with a theme, like it had a theme. I didn't have to spend time trying to be inspired. That makes sense. Like,
it was a focus, right? There was a focus.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling overwhelmed and like, oh, I just don't even know where to start. There was a focus, a real shift of like, okay, I'm just focused on this, and I know this is the right thing to be designing right now.
Yeah. I also feel like it's been because there's such a variation in themes that go out each month, that it's building my portfolio, not just filled with florals. I'm getting inspired to do other things, animal prints, or I'm getting inspired to do food, or playing with motifs that are on that list that I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. That sounds exciting, you know?
Yeah, like sparking ideas.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, well, what would be the next thing? Consistency
and workflow. Consistency is king. We always say this, like, there is no secret sauce outside of consistency. Show up, set yourself up for success. Whether it's with a creative brief that is doing all the work for you, showing up monthly, forcing you to be consistent and accountable. Consistency, however you find it, is going to be the secret sauce to moving you forward, in my opinion. Yeah.
I feel like with consistency, sometimes it can really feel really hard to be consistent when you're trying to do these like massive collections. So Ryan and I have like really like shifted our mindset on how we're working, and we're like more working of like, okay, mini collections are the way to go. And so we're kind of trying to simplify the overwhelm so that we can be consistent. But like we feel like shifting our mindset and kind of almost tricking ourselves of like, I'm just going to create 3 designs. Sometimes I find even 3 designs a little bit overwhelming. I'm like, okay, just one design, and then I know another will build from it once I get going. I'm just like, I just got to get one design down, get started for the month, and then that helps build this kind of like this momentum. Because if I sit here going, I need to create a big collection, it's too daunting. It feels too big a task. And then I'm like, okay, what's it going to be about? Like, it's just too hard to actually even start. But if you really simplify it and come down to like shifting your mindset about, I'm not going to create a big collection. I'm going to start small. I'm going to do these like little mini collections. You'll be amazed of like that mindset shift of that the consistency will come, and you'll start. The consistency is what's going to build the portfolio, right?
Yeah.
And we just need to do the doing. We need to get out of the learning. We need to be doing the doing to build the portfolio, to be proud of the portfolio, to have a well-rounded portfolio. We need to be kind of like pushing outside of our comfort zone. We need to be kind of filling it with different themes and all of that. And that's why I love the briefs, because they give me the structure of like pushing me to fill areas of my portfolio instead of just florals or I love doing fall, and I do a lot of like kind of fall stuff. So like, and I do a lot of unisex stuff. So it's I'm just loving seeing it grow, like my portfolio to grow. It's really nice now to like send it to someone and know that it kind of ticks a lot of boxes.
I was just going to also touch on we didn't mention it, but the mini collections, doing those each month, my portfolio is so much tighter and stronger than it ever has been, because it's filled with really a hero and then a blender and a coordinate. And that's the bulk of it. It's my rather than doing big collections that had lots of blenders and lots of fluff that was kind of filling my overall portfolio, my portfolio is feeling less watered down and tighter and stronger. And just more captivating. I think when somebody's viewing it, it's more intriguing.
Yeah, instead of full of just kind of blenders and stuff. I still find some clients need the blenders, but majority are really wanting kind of more those heroes, those kind of like those pieces, those kind of that are going to sell their product, that people can be like, oh, that's cute, or like they're kind of like they have a conversation kind of around them. They're the hero, or sometimes it's the coordinate, but they're kind of picking and choosing, and they're not buying a collection. They're picking and choosing their favorites from my portfolio, and then that's how I set my portfolio up. I don't set it up in collections. I just set it up in kind of categories now, which is,
well, I was going to say too, with mini collections, oftentimes you can merge 2 collections if you color them in the same color palette to make one bigger collection.
yes, if you need to, right? If someone's like, oh, I love this mini collection, I'd like a few more, you can like grow it. The opportunity there is, it's kind of like a little hook, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are our tips though for really creating a well-rounded portfolio. However you need to get there, I think it's paying attention to the market, what's happening, having a clear roadmap, longer lead times. What else did we say? Inspiration, research,
and also like kind of breaking outside of your box with the themes and stuff, like pushing yourself to try new things and try new categories. You actually might find that you just like really love another category, like adding it in. But yeah, I think just experimenting and stuff.
Yep.
If you do want to try out our creative briefs, then we can pop the link below and go check it all out. We have lots of things happening over there, and it's something that we're pouring our hearts into, and we created them for ourselves and we work to them. And so this is huge insight to how we are working, and it's the lead times and all of the things in the strategy that we have structured for our own creative businesses to build our portfolios. And I can just tell you now, it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
I haven't licensed as much this year as I have in the past. So yeah, that is.
Yeah. I was also going to say, we've also added art calls in there. So you actually get real life clients. These aren't pretend clients, but opportunities to work to a company's brief that we've put together for them and designed to their specifications, and know that their eyes will be on your artwork. So that's another opportunity within our creative briefs just to help build your well-rounded marketable portfolio. So even if your collection isn't picked up by those companies, it's still a great addition to your portfolio. As always, we'll put the links below so you can find more information on that. And yeah, if you love this conversation, please share. It helps us know that these are of value to you and that it's worth our time.
Yeah. And just so you know, I just wanted to touch on consistency and workflow again, finding your consistency and finding a way to show up and share your work is going to help you so much that it's the consistency, and then building out your workflow and finding that is really going to help you move the needle forward and build this portfolio out to be the most marketable and professional portfolio that you can have.
Well said. Bye, guys.